Open up your eyes, take a look at me. Get the picture fixed in your memory. I'm driven by the rhythm like the beat of a heart. And I won't stop until I start to stand down.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the happiest podcast on earth. That's right, you are listening to LorcanaCast, your premier Disney Lorcana podcast. And we are here this week to wrap up part 2 of our organized play discussion. So we're going to kick off back to John from LorcanaHQ.com because he has got a fantastic question that's going to spark a very interesting debate we think that you're going to enjoy.
Now, do you think OP, now someone said OP is necessary for a game to survive.
I think
yes.
so.
Do you think so?
100%.
Is everyone
100%.
unanimous on that?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, yes.
Okay, here's a counter question. What game can you think of that's surviving without organized play?
Well, if you think
They're
about
all
it,
dead.
think about this. During COVID, nobody was playing organized play, right?
Well, Flesh and Blood still was doing it.
Yeah,
Well, toward the tail end, they
were doing.
There were
doing
games that you could play. The concept was that the games weren't dead. People were still playing competitively because there were tournaments still coming. You know what I mean?
Also, they were webcam tournaments.
Webcam
so like
tournaments.
Yeah, I was about to say, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball did webcam regionals.
Pokemon did too, didn't they?
Yeah, Pokemon did too. Yeah, well, and also you can play online too. You can play the Pokemon, the trading card game online. There's also what is that from Steam? There's a tabletop. You can do tabletop tournaments. So your tabletop simulators and the Pokemon online game. But
even then, Jonathan, the concept was that we were coming back.
The game,
it was coming back, right? It was. I would say that they survived because the thought was we have a plan for how OP is going to be when we can get back to stores.
When I look at it from by the way, let me be clear. Okay, I'm not saying games don't need OP. I'm not saying that. Just for listeners to for them making the face at their screen right now, being like, "What the heck is that?" No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying I'm exploring this idea. Okay, if there is a strong casual expression of the game, I'm not sure that you need organized play if you have that strong casual expression, right? Because when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about Commander, right? And Commander, there's no organized play in Commander. That's not a thing, right? But that's part of what kept Magic alive during the pandemic was webcam Commander. It wasn't Arena, that was everybody thought, oh, Arena is going to be the best thing. It was people cooking up their webcams so they could play a casual iteration of the game, which had no prizes attached and no, OP kit or anything like that. So when we think about OP, I think we have to consider, what does that mean? You know what I mean? What is that moment in time when we look at the pandemic and we look at the casual expression and the webcam Commander and its impact on the game as a whole, the Magic game as a whole? What does that say about OP? You know what I mean?
I know Jason wants to.
Magic's also been around for 30 years,
right?
So it does
have,
yeah. For brand new games got to come in. They got to make an impact so they could stick around.
It's hard to talk about Magic about anything because Magic is its own beast. It's unique. It's so unique in the time it's been around and the people playing it and the size of it. Right. That's why it's hard to compare anything to what happened with Commander. And Commander, has iterations over the years too. So
did you only know about Magic because of that $1,000 proxy fiasco?
Who, me? No,
Skeff is like, Magic's 30 years old. I'm like, how do you know that there, Skeff?
Nah.
I just think.
Did you buy any of those? Did you buy any of those, Skiff?
Did you pull a fake Black Lotus?
No, I did not.
You can't even use for promo. You can't even use in tournaments.
Shh, don't tell him he's the target demographic.
You can't use them in tournaments, so they can't be used in organized play.
Correct.
That's the rumor I've heard. I haven't looked into it too much. But
wait, what?
I heard you can't even use them in tournaments.
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
But people will still buy them. Why?
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Organized play is not everything,
Organized play is very important, regardless of like the concept of having the game. A lot of people need the reason to play the game. Like there's an end goal, right? There's an objective. Like Pokemon, you can play casually, but there's still a reason. You still have like 1,000 people show up to nationals.
Yeah, fun. Because fun is the reason to play a game.
This is true. This is fun, but there's some people that take it seriously.
Right.
So there's going to be a balance to that.
So for those people who take it seriously, organized play is important. But the question is, what is the delta, right? What is the difference between the people who take it seriously and want to play it, like want to play OP and become the best Lorcana player that there is, and the people who will play and / collect the game casually? That is the question.
I agree in this game. I think it will be more, like you're saying, I think there will be more of a casual market. I think there will be more kitchen table play of Lorcana. I think there will be more collectors of Lorcana than a typical TCG because it's Disney, because of all those things. So I think you're hitting that on the head. A game like Fab, which I agree with their earlier assessments that Flesh and Blood is, they're trying to come out eventually with what they call PvE. Thank you. PvE mold, which they've been working on for some time. That's their solution really to casual players to do a kitchen table.
Yeah, come on, James, we're waiting for it, man.
Right.
Hurry it up, man. Bring it.
But I don't think the game would have survived without the robust organized play it had because of the way the game is and the complexity of the game and the nature of the people that are drawn to Flesh and Blood.
I 100% agree with that, but that's because that's all it has.
Right.
It doesn't have a casual expression.
Right.
It does have an investor market, but not really a collector market. You know what I'm saying? The collector market is relatively small. There's an investor market, which is different, in my opinion, than a collector. In Disney, because of the IP, we have a collector market kind of built in, and we may have a casual market. And so, to me, the reason I'm bringing this up is not to be contrarian or whatever. We're talking about OP as a whole, and definitely, man, as someone who's running a store and who wants to like go, really go nuts with Lorcana, like order a bunch of it and have a community built around it. Hey, I'm all 100% for OP. I want to see, I want to see worlds. I want to see the local level. I want to see people brewing decks and all of that stuff. I think it's important, for that aspect, but I also don't want to forget about, hey, there are these other facets of the game that where, OP may not have an impact on, right?
Jason, you've been kind of quiet. I could feel something brewing in your brains over there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna rewind all the way back to your initial question, because I got to respond to your initial question, and then Chris and some points that John made as well. So are we talking about just like in terms of product we want to see, or in terms of gameplay, in terms of OP? Because it seems like we've just been focusing on stuff, swag you can get from events. But like my big thing is, like, as the listeners and the rest of you on the team know, like I am a super competitive player. So I am on the opposite of both the points that are being talked about right now. Like, like I am 100% like committed to trying to be not only the national champion, but hopefully if I make it to the world champions for Dragon Ball Super, my access with Lorcana, I want to be the national champion for Lorcana, right? So I'm going to be grinding, and if I'm putting in not only the investment being my time, my money, blood, sweat, tears, all that, in order to get to that level, I want everything you can give me for putting in that initial investment, right? So in terms of that, if I'm putting in all the effort, I work, I come home, I play test, rinse and repeat, then, I definitely want to essentially, quote unquote, get paid for my investment. In terms of what I want to see, since I'll go there, in terms of the actual like levels, I'm curious, because this is like a family based game. Essentially because of the IP, that if we're going to have different divisions, because I know Pokemon has different divisions. I know Yu-Gi-Oh has Dragon Duels. Essentially, that's just duelists who are 12 and younger. They play in Dragon Duels. They play only against, now we don't have that in Dragon Ball Super. I played against kids. There's a pretty famous father-son duo in our game. He goes to regionals all the time, before I hand it off. I mean, I'm curious if you guys think we're going to have separate divisions in this game, or if it's just a giant, basically master division and kids and parents, come play. But yeah, I mean, overall, now in terms of this whole community discussion we're talking about, I brought it up when you first brought me into the show way back in episode 2. I talked about, like what we talk about, the whole 3 pillars of like what makes a successful card game. Obviously, as you guys mentioned, from the IP standpoint, you need the collectors. Speaking of the pandemic, the collector market. I can tell you, when the whole Logan Paul Pokemon box break thing happened, like that had a positive impact on Dragon Ball Super, because some of our cards skyrocketed in terms of, from the collector aspect during the pandemic, and then people started checking out our game so that, we were able to get more players in. But I think for, like Skev was talking about, for the initial launch of this game, if there's not a strong OP thing, I'll play it casually, but I'm not going to move off Dragon Ball Super for Lorcana. I need the ultra high level competitive event in order to get that. So with that, now I'll reintroduce my question. Do you guys think we're going to have like a giant master division, or do you think we're going to have separate divisions for our different younglings out there?
I don't want to be making any kids cry. So
yeah, I hope so. Based on your comments, Jason, I mean, it sounds like you're about to wreck some kids. So.
Hey, the hardest choices require the strongest wills, right?
Right. This 10-year-old's about to cry.
All right, Spock, I see you.
Right.
Well, I'm interested in playing with my kids. It would be cool for my kids to play.
But
games.
I don't want to play your kids in a tournament.
No, I'm saying that I don't want that either. So, like, I would love for there to be separate.
Just send them my way. I'll play them.
And all these games, there's kids on. I played Destiny with kids that were 11,
right,
12,
no
13,
with that, but not in a tournament.
And they grew up and they were just, so it's you're going to have kids on different various levels, like anything else in life, right? You're going to have some kids that, and even in Flab right now, we have a 16-year-old record adults, going around the country, going to, national level events, winning them. So again, that's an outlier. So I've never played a game. I was never big into Pokemon. I was never big in a game which drew in a large majority of young people. So if this game, which I expect will draw in more young people, I think the divisions would be a good thing for that reason. But again, I think I'd be interested to see the interplay about how, there are some kids out there that can't play on the same level as adults, right?
100%. Yeah.
There are kids on there that can't play on that same level. So I think I want a space for those kids that want to feel protected and be able to get their own competitive thing going on, right?
Yeah, I think ideally, to address my own question, I think ideally, especially depending on how regardless of how the gameplay functions for this game, just so you don't have like the ultra super competitive player like me, like I think it is better to have that separation, so that especially with it being Disney and then eventually Pixar and Star Wars and Marvel and all that, I don't want to be like, oh, this guy, daddy, this guy was mean and he sent Stitch and Darth Vader and Scar out on me.
No, I think that's a good point. I'm kind of in the same boat as some of you guys, where I do think there will be a division for different ages, just because I'm pretty confident Ravensburger does not want adults playing little Jimmy 6-year-old's first trading card game experience. I think they're aware that there's going to be a lot of people who've been playing for many, many years, very experienced players, and then a wide range of people who are new, both in the range of adults and children. And so to kind of help balance things out as much as possible, there'll be age brackets. Also, kind of like with Pokemon, they try and keep children away from adults because safety reasons and all kinds of other stuff. So if I had to guess,
adults are terrible. We're terrible. Like, honestly, we're awful people.
No, I'm nice. I will very politely beat the child into the dirt if they're,
exert yourself.
Yeah. I'll use the triple, Elsa to exert their entire board and then just squeak right in.
Sugi made another kid cry. That's just a playmat of just him just making people cry.
Yeah, I'll have like check marks on my playmat. Is that how many wins you've got? No, that's the number of children I've made cry so far.
Wow.
Like,
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
We need to have this.
All right.
This one dark real fast.
So jokes aside.
I disavow all of that. So
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
I want all the listeners to know I am pro children winning games and not beating children into the dirt. Like, let me be clear about that.
I am
Does
all
Miller
for
count as that,
a
though?
Juniors, seniors, and masters division for this family-friendly game.
Yeah.
So you're playing with people of your own age.
But I think it should be the young person's decision to like want to move up if they want to play adult. You know what I'm saying? I think there are people that
they make terrible decisions. So no.
Wow. Okay.
I think that's a fair
Have you
point.
talked to
Though,
Senor
because,
recently?
you don't want to hinder someone who's very
Exactly.
talented or skilled at the game, right?
Want to push that next level, right? Because
I'm just trying
assumably
to keep them away from Sugi. Listen, guys, we're trying to help the kids here, right?
Oh my gosh, come on. It was a
I think
joke.
we just got to lock Sugi up. That's all.
Wow.
Mill players get no love. Never any love.
They don't.
It's okay. I'll just put a giant sign on my jersey. Mill player, watch out.
right.
So he talks about beating the kids into the dirt, and then he says, "It must be because I'm a mill player, right, guys?" It's like, no, it's because of that whole mess of stuff you just said. That's why.
As you grin like Jack Skellington.
What does Jack Skellington have to do with this?
Man,
Probably no
let
card.
that one go. They'll
Probably
never
no
let it go.
Oh, Jack Skellington, exert mill one card. Yeah,
Definitely
okay.
milk card. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely milk card. But I mean, at the end of the day, like Pokemon has been doing this for like ever, and it's been working perfectly the entire time. You know what I mean? There's never been like any weird thing, no issues. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, I honestly, and also guys, if you've ever seen me in person, if I don't smile, I look like a terrifying individual. So just for the record, if you ever imagine like a Viking caveman, yeah, that's what I look like. So
Yu-Gi-Oh must do the same thing too, right? Because I've seen it looks like young kids winning their divisions with Yu-Gi-Oh. They must have some kind of thing going on there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's called Dragon Duels. Yeah,
Okay.
it's for kids 12 and under. So
They just play each other.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if the game is going to be as family oriented as we suspect it will be, then it's very, very likely that they'll have divisions. I could see maybe at like the local store level, everyone is welcome to play amongst themselves.
Yes,
but if you go to like a
when it comes to
regional
tournaments.
or a national, when it comes to major tournament events,
Right.
I could absolutely see them just duplicating what Pokemon does, because like Skeff was saying, and I agree with him, it works so well. And, you know, I just about, you know, beating kids in the dirt. I'm actually a really good teacher with kids, but like there are people who want to do that. They want to prey on younger and less experienced players. Not me. Don't judge me. But that's
Not anybody here. Not anybody in this
player.
chat.
Oh my gosh.
Now, here, I'm going to say this first, guys. I think that what I said about the divisions is accurate, but I'm going to say this first. I do believe they're going to have a tournament at Gen Con, and that tournament will be an open tournament to everyone.
Sure, yeah.
But other than that, though, after that, it'll be like divisions.
But we've gone a little bit longer than we're expecting, and I do have a really interesting listener question I want to pose to the team before we get out of
We
here.
have listeners?
Wait, before we close the open play or organized play topic.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the one thing, right? That's the thing. Where is Worlds going to be held? We have to talk about that, right? That is the thing we have to talk about before we close that topic.
Anaheim.
Where is
It-
Ravensburger located? Not the Germany.
They're in
America?
they're in Seattle.
So
That
Seattle.
sounds awful. It should
It'll be
not do that.
Seattle.
Yeah,
Wow,
I mean,
really?
honest,
It should not. That'd be
No.
a terrible idea.
I think
Terrible
there's two
idea.
choices, right? Anaheim or
Anaheim.
Orlando, right?
Anaheim or Orlando.
Also, terrible choices.
What?
Orlando's
That's
okay.
where the park's at.
Orlando's cheap, actually. Orlando's not that
Orlando's
bad.
cheap. Orlando's pretty. I think they should.
Anaheim is really expensive.
Anaheim's dumb expensive. Seattle's dumb expensive. I think they need to keep it somewhere centrally located at like a giant gaming
Says the guy
convention.
lives centrally located.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
I mean,
he's like, in my backyard, we can accommodate.
exactly. Yeah.
Take
in Indianapolis at Gen Con.
Yeah,
should
Gen
be
Con.
a national or world tournament.
Yeah, that's
Depending on their rotation schedule.
that's actually what I was about to say. Is I think it's Gen Con.
I could see Gen
Or
Con
Origins.
being Worlds. Yeah, Gen Con or Origins.
Right. At the end of the day, they're not big enough to have their own like FFG World Tournament or at their lone location. They're not at that point yet. Like Pokemon.
If
has
only they
its
had a big
rotation.
location in one of those places, Anaheim or Florida.
Right.
Weird, yeah, like a big resort or something,
like a park,
like
some kind of park.
I don't know, man. Oh yeah, if only they're pretty small.
Okay,
you know?
I'm going to be straight up honest. I do not want to play in the theme parks because I'm just going to drop and go. I'm going to go ride the rides.
No, I'm not talking about like
In the
near
actual
the
theme
Matterhorn.
park.
I'm talking about like on the property, man. Like in the resort. There's so many hotels and like there's. Is there not a convention center like right near these places?
There is.
Yes,
there
we
is.
have a convention center here in Orlando. Yeah.
But I'm also going to be really honest. If it's like across the street from Disneyland, I'm going to be like, yo, I'm going to Disneyland. Sorry.
You can do that after you O2 drop.
Right. Play your game first.
Wow.
You assume I'm going to O2 drop my man.
yeah, because you're a
division.
Bill player.
In the juniors.
Have you seen me? I'm like 3 juniors smashed together. I don't think that's going to fly, brother.
I think, I insinuate the narrative. You went to the junior division to try to crush children into the ground, and
Oh my
then
gosh.
they defeated you, O2, and then you went to Disneyland and had a churro.
Or I could just go get a
Churro.
Dole Whip and a churro and just,
Churros.
I think they will eventually have their own dedicated convention like tournament. But in the first year, I'm pretty confident they're going to be at like already established places like an Adepticon or like an Origin or a Gen Con. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm just going to grab Jason and we'll go run over to like the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and take selfies. Be like,
Yes,
y'all
sir.
missing out.
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Y'all playing card games. We riding rides, boy.
No, we got to do it like Yu-Gi-Oh! Card games on motorcycles.
Oh yeah. We have to play each other Lorcana while on the attraction.
because
That'd be awesome.
Who else here played Destiny competitively? Sugi, Chris, right? Was that it? All the
Yeah, I
FFG
think
games.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
So
I did.
FFG, so they actually had their own place in Minnesota where
Right.
they held their world tournaments. A lot of people actually didn't enjoy that. They wish it was actually like it like rotated or went to like different places.
The final year we had it at a stadium, like a
Oh, really?
the last one was at a local
The
sports
last
stadium.
one. Okay. All right, that's cool. So they eventually got to the point where like at the end of the day, like having it at that one in Minnesota in November was terrible.
The problem with FFG was their worlds was for like 6 different games,
It
and
was.
they really didn't have enough space for everybody.
Right.
No, they didn't.
Because it was a tiny little warehouse, and we're talking
was.
about like, you have X-Wing, which you need giant 3x3 tables, and you've got like 200 trading card game players, and then
I mean, it holds 200 people, but yes, when you compare the popularity of the games outgrew the space for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a pretty. I mean, it's nice to have it as a resource weekly, right? But when you're talking about
Yeah.
40 people who want to come play Destiny, it was not big enough. I agree.
No,
Yeah.
no, it was real bad. But I don't want rotation because I want to know where I'm going. Because if
Well, it's
it
got
keeps
to be all
rotating,
inviting. It's like Pokemon. If it gets to the point of Pokemon, it's going to be all inviting. So they're going to do it to like in Orlando, in California, in.
well, yeah, but you're talking about one of the big 3. Like,
It is true, but this the potential, right? The outward thinking of like, all right, can this get there? I mean, probably.
I just hope they do it. I hope they
Again, I don't know if
have it.
Ravensburger, if that's even in their philosophy, to be
Right.
very honest.
I don't know about that either.
Because
Do
we're
they not want to
talking
grow the game?
No. So we're
Having
talking
a
about
world.
it as players looking outward and going, hey, we want this to be competitive. This is exactly like Warhammer. So Games Workshop is a company that makes toys, and they sell toys and they sell rule books.
Right.
And the player base outside looking in goes, hey, we want tournaments. And they're like, no, we make toys and rule books. And so the players have created this artificial tournament scene to facilitate a tournament event, where the philosophy is we make toys and we make rule books. So when I'm thinking about Ravensburger, I don't know if their philosophy is we're going to compete with Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, and we're going to have world tournaments and national events, and we're going to have all of these major cities. Their philosophy might be we want to create a really great game that families can play amongst themselves with an organized play kit for local shops, and maybe do like an event at Gen Con or something like that. But, I don't know if their philosophy is built around this long-term massive thing that we're speculating about, because that may or may not be what their design was intended for. Like,
that would be unique though, Sig. Would you agree that, like, normally if you're going to have weekly OP like we want them to have, that does build to an ultimate Worlds event? So I think that I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that path would be unique.
So I'm thinking about a lot of board games that have OP, but they don't have any kind of national or world event. They just have a reason to buy the game and then play it at your local game store. And that's it. That's literally the cap of that game's threshold. I'm not saying Lorcana is that, but what I'm saying is a lot of people, including ourselves, are really excited about this huge long-term goal. We want a Worlds, we want a Gen Con, we want all these things. And in the back of my mind, they haven't said that. They've been very upfront with, hey, we're going to provide all these promotional cards in booster packs. And hey, we're going to have organized play. And hey, we're going to have all kinds of fun events for all these players.
They said robust organized play.
Robust. That's true. So they're gonna have a really rich, firm coffee flavored drink type of organized play.
Yeah.
But they've yet to allude or even hint at anything past that point. So I just kind of want to throttle the expectation, because everyone looks at the game and goes, cool, it's Magic the Gathering. We're going to have Pro Tour, PPTQs, RTQs, cold foils, all these things. And I'm like, well, they didn't actually say that, y'all. Like, maybe.
If they would say something, then we would know, right?
They did not say that either. So
this is all speculation. I always say that every episode. This is all speculation.
Yeah, this is all speculation. But I just want people to think that it's possible the philosophy may not actually be
it's a fair point.
A world tournament. It might be, we want to make a real, because remember, Ravensburger is a board game company. Mm-hmm. This is their foray into a trading card game. So their philosophies might still be built around developing and designing amazing family-friendly experiences you can play at home or with friends anywhere. And we just happen to have an OP kit that facilitates local play with friends. So
but the developers are card game guys. So I mean, it's a really issue, because it's like, if you look at Flesh and Blood, James White, total like industry guy for 20 years, into OP, into the game, and created his own thing from the top down, right? He didn't have a publisher, right? He didn't have any company like Ravensburger over him. So it's going to be really interesting seeing these card game guys work with these board game people and what they come up with as far as, the game itself overall and any kind of organized play.
Yeah, the people making Lorcana are not strangers to the idea of organized play or what other games do. They're very aware. So it's just, what do they want to do?
Right. And I was curious. Someone brought up the concept of like casual game, right? They talked about how like there's board games, right, that are casual play. Well, those board games, the products that you purchase for set games to compete casually, those are all the same exact box. You go to the store, you buy the box. What's inside? The same thing for everyone that buys it. But if you have this card game and you buy a booster, no, you're not going to get every card in the set. You know what I mean? So the concept of being able to just pick up one booster box and be set is unlikely.
Right. I agree.
Outside of a starter structure deck situation, and you're just playing those against each other, which of course they'll have. Yeah.
That'd be Gen Card. It'd be all Mickey decks. It'd be Mickey decks.
Exactly.
But their goal is to sell a product, right? Like they wouldn't do it randomized if they weren't trying. Like if they were going to do a casual thing, they would have just built a living card game and called it a day, right?
Right. Yeah.
So many good arguments in this chat. So many smart people just pushing.
So they need to sell cards, right? So they're going to do it randomized. So there's going to be alt arts, there's going to be full arts, there's going to be reasons for people to buy the booster boxes.
And you're not going to spend
this way, right?
Buy 4 boxes to get the deck you really want.
You buy a case and call it a day, right?
Yeah.
Buy a case, call it a day, get everything you need for the set, find the full art, find the alt arts, trade up, get some. You know what I mean? Like they're going to make it so you're incentivized to buy a case. Otherwise, why would they make it randomized?
But do you not connect that behavior with casual? The word casual?
No.
I don't connect buying a case with casual. No.
Right. Yeah.
Case is 100% a competitive player mentality.
Yeah. Casual players don't know what the word case means.
Really?
Yeah, but casual, they might. But a casual player is going to be buying multiple booster packs and paying the full MSRP. Yes, whereas when you buy a case or even a booster box, generally you get a little bit of a discount because it's a bulk buy.
Casual players aren't looking to spend $600 on a game casually.
Play with their kid at
That's
the
a big
table.
investment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever met
casually.
Commander players? Like,
But-
I am just. I'm
But
Commander
floored by
players
this.
that's so different
are-
though. That's
Like, have you seen their
they're not
decks?
like-
Some of them are worth like thousands and thousands of dollars.
That's
because it's
they're
been
very
around for 30
special
years.
people.
It's been around for 30 years, and they have play groups built around it, and they have certain metas, and they have certain. That's
So are they not casual? Like in your mind, like that's a casual like expression of Magic the Gathering is Commander.
But how many of those people have always been casual? Most of those people have a history with the game.
And
And
do they
this is
pay
talking
the
general-
history
this is
doesn't-
talking about
card?
generalities,
I
right?
think, I think it's just a philosophy of what you consider casual. I feel like you feel like casual is not invested.
I feel like it's invested in a different way.
Yeah, that's
I feel
strange
like
because I look at
casual-
casual
yes.
like I look at casual as like they're playing it not competitively, but it doesn't mean they're not invested. Like, you know what I mean? Like a casual player, may drop, hundreds of dollars on cards or thousands of dollars on cards, but they're not playing it competitive. They're doing it for fun or for, to get together with friends or as a hobby,
And
not,
I feel
we're
that-
all
I
doing
feel
it as a
that's an
hobby,
outlier.
right? But
I
let's
feel
put
like
that-
that's like an outlier compared to like I'll play like Imperial Assault, X-Wing, Destiny, like Pokemon, like the person that like will play it casually usually isn't the one to spend the most on the product.
But you have to put that in the context of Magic, because there are people in your world that will do the same thing you will to reach that. There's people, you can find people in the your Magic group that will spend the same amount of money you spend to play the game in the way you play it. With a new game like Lorcana or a new game like Flesh and Blood, nobody's going to spend multiple $1,000s to just play at the kitchen table with their kid. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I'm not gonna be buying a whole case to get the decks I want to be competitive to play at the kitchen table with my kid casually. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to need an outlet for that.
I don't like. I have a whole different experience with that because even being someone who sells the product, like I've sold cases of Flesh and Blood to people who I think play Flesh and Blood casually. And I mean, Flesh and Blood it's a kind of a different animal because when you buy a case, you typically are quote unquote guaranteed a legendary. So people would go legendary hunting. Casual players would be like, I want a case because I want to go for legendary, So to me, it's like I've seen the opposite. I've seen competitive players, like people who play Modern and Magic, like they spend less money than casual players because they get their deck, or in Flesh and Blood, as you know, you get your hero, you get your deck, and like sometimes you don't even need to buy new cards for the deck, right? Like you don't need to, it just depends if some Majestic comes out or whatever. It's the same thing with Modern, you get your Modern deck, and like after that set, you don't need to buy product in mass. It's the Commander players who are like buying boxes and the new Commander decks and, expensive fancy cards and this kind of stuff. That's the experience I've seen as on the seller side.
So I'll use another big three for our argument here because I'm on Chris's side here. So you could take a Yu-Gi-Oh for example, right? Those decks can cost, like competitively can cost $1,000+ right? But there's players who are considered casual or budget who think $100 is expensive or $150, but yet they still want to play Yu-Gi-Oh on some local casual level. And so like to Chris's point, like if I'm like coming into a game like that, say like I'm not going to spend like $1,000 to play a game like once a week or kitchen table style, right?
I mean, will you spend $1,000? I don't know. Like how many boxes will you buy? Like, I'm not trying to be like contrarian, but I'm just saying like I've seen people buy boxes after boxes, and it's just like, I think I guess the best way to put it is there is a spectrum of casual that maybe you're not, not getting a glimpse of, or maybe in some of the games you play, it's not like that. But I'll tell you for sure in Magic, and there's not really a casual expression in Flesh and Blood, so we really can't measure that. But in Magic, like the spectrum of casual is very wide. And, I think like if you told me this, let me put my business hat on, right? And you said you can pick, all right, you can either have all casual players come to your store or all competitive players. Which will you desire?
You do casual.
I would 100% casual because
For sure.
So to me, like it's just because that spectrum includes spenders as well as maybe people who are doing budget, And I feel like competitive players, once they lock in, they buy exactly what they need. They know, they're not there for like the experience of opening a booster pack. They're there for like these 3 cards. Do you have them or do you not? Like, you know what I mean?
So when it comes to like a shop like that, I feel that's accurate, right? Like, so if you're comparing like what is a better supporter of a frequent local box shop, then yes, a casual player is. But if you're talking about the support of the individual game, it's different. Like that is always correct. Like you always have the casual player showing up at your shop because that's what you want. But like that's supporting the individual shop. That's different than the actual game itself.
But is it? Because we're talking about OP being like the lifeblood of things and stuff. Well, part of that is because they go to the shop to play, right? If the people who are supporting the shop, they're supporting the game. Because if the game is like, if I have it in my shop and it's selling well, then I am going to promote that game. I am going to carry that game. I'm going to open product for singles. There's going to be a community
like having
for
availability.
that.
Having availability is the best marketability.
Right. If people are not supporting in my shop, then it's really hard sell for me to be like, hey, I want to keep carrying this, and I just want to keep trying to get people to do something they don't want to do. Right. Like please buy this product. It's the best. Like. I'm not going to chase that, right? As a shop, it's just not going to,
Right. That'd be bad. That'd be a terrible business decision.
Yeah, it's bad.
I think we're defining things a little different. I don't think that to me, a casual person in Flesh and Blood, somebody who comes and plays at every weekly armory is not casual in my opinion. That person is putting in a time commitment, whether they're putting in a money commitment. That's separate, but a person that comes and plays at every armory for the month, that person is not casual in my opinion. They're making a time commitment and probably a financial commitment too. So I guess it's just about how you term casual, right? And of course, as a store, you're going to make, even for any game, I think you're going to make most of your money from people that term themselves as casuals, people that don't go out to armory every week, people that don't go to a national level event, because those are going to be buying more overall product. But are they going to be spending, are they going to be supporting and building a community? Probably, I wouldn't say casual people are doing that. But again, that's how you define it, right?
I think it's an interesting conversation we're having, and I don't think it's bad at all. Just seeing different people's perspective on what is casual, what is not casual, and I will say that I would be happy to see all types of people support Lorcana. I want the casual players to support it. I want the competitive players to find what they want out of the game, which is a robust OP system. And, so I'll just leave robust. I'll leave it at that. Cause like, I really think like part of what we're doing here, and I don't think we have time to parse it. I think we're just coming at it from different areas and like defining like casual and different things. And like, that's not a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just the way that we see casual is just different in my opinion.
Totally agree.
But I think that's what's really interesting about Lorcana and the community as a whole. There's a lot of different perspectives. There's a lot of different experience. And that's what makes these conversations and this community so amazing is we could sit down and have these really interesting discussions for forever, honestly. And I've learned a lot. I hope you guys have learned a lot. But for the sake of time, we are going to move on. We've got some listener questions, and then I've got a trivia question, which will be a lot more toned down. The group can answer together. I'll give you guys a chance. I think you'll be able to answer it, so don't worry. It's not that bad. It's really easy. But I had a really good question on the Discord channel from, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, but I think it's Tothex. And they ask, we're all anxiously awaiting new information, and there is always the possibility people will lose interest in Lorcana over time. How much longer do you think people can go without at least basic information before they start to lose interest? Or will it not matter because those people will just get sucked back into the hype as soon as more information comes out? I do want to keep answers succinct because we are way over our standard recording time, but it's a good question. Do you think Lorcana needs the slow drip of data and information, or will people just come back when there's something new to know?
It needs information, at least something by the end of the year.
I don't think it matters at all. I think that when the information comes out, people will talk about it. People get excited about it. When the game releases, it'll be huge.
I think they need, like I brought up before, either some kind of like trailer or some piece of information by the end of the year at the latest, the beginning part of the first quarter, and then they'll get sucked back in.
I don't think it matters. I wrote an article that I think that they need to give information, but the reason I said they need to is because I feel like they can capitalize on momentum. They can build momentum. Like, I think they lose something by not giving info, but I think in the end, it's still going to be like people are going to get drawn back. It's just like you're losing something, though. It's opportunity cost, I think, for not giving the information. But I don't think it's going to make it that people just lose interest in Lorcana and go away.
Yeah, I actually think that the game does need more information because there was this big hype train. And I do believe, because we're going into the holiday season at the time of this recording, that with work and with life and with all these things coming into people's lives, that if there's non-information at the forefront of someone's mind or attention, that Lorcana can drop off. I don't think it'll be gone permanently, but maybe, you know, their interest and their hype and their excitement will die down. And so if there's a slow drip, people have something to expect, something to anticipate. So I'm with Skeff. I think they should have some kind of announcement, something big, something concrete, more than just these little tidbits coming from these conventions in, you know, Europe, where they say, hey, you know, like here's like how to play, or here's just some more robust, we'll use that word, I like that a lot, John, some more robust information, because we're really grasping at straws. There's just not a lot of information. We just have cards and text and nothing to facilitate what that text means quite yet.
We may be past that point, though. I think they've really dropped the ball in that, and I think we're at the point where people are just dropping off. And, you know, so it's kind of like, I'm not saying, look, I want information. For the listeners out there being like, no, say you want information, say you need, dude, we need information. I've been saying that since day one. But I think when they restart the engine, people will get drawn back. I just think they lost a lot by not capitalizing on the D23 momentum.
And hopefully we will see more over the next coming months, because they've already said on Twitter that they've got announcements to make, which is good. They didn't say when they're going to make the announcements, which is bad. And so we're just kind of sitting here, you know, with the information we do have and speculating. But the good news is it's fun. It's a really good discussion, because, you know, we're talking at it from an educated standpoint. We have really strong opinions, and we have such different opinions that it makes for a really good, you know, radio show. So I think it's a lot of fun, and we're going to wrap up the show now with our trivia question, which, John, I'm glad you're here, because you four can postulate what the answer to this is together. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right. So, in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, what are the names of the seven dwarves? And remember, you can answer.
Can't use Google.
You can answer this. You cannot use Google. You can answer this together as a team.
Okay, team.
So we'll throw on the Jeopardy music in post production, and here we go. No, Jason knows what they are, so he's just so used to.
What?
I'm just having entertainment watching you guys figure it out.
Oh my goodness! Come on, man.
Is Sassy one?
No.
I mean, if you wanted to be one, it can be the eighth cousin.
The eighth dwarf, Sassy.
No, it's Sneezy.
It's
Sneezy, not
there was a
Sassy.
Sneezy one. There was Sneezy.
It's Sneezy.
Yep. We got 6 of them. That's what's the one we're missing.
Okay,
So
sure.
what is the
okay.
we'll pose the question again. In Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, what are the names of the seven dwarves?
All right.
Here's what we came up with.
Yep. So we have
Sleepy.
Yep. Sleepy.
Grumpy.
Dopey. Yep.
Happy.
Yep.
Doc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sneezy.
Yeah, you're missing
Sassy,
one
it's
more.
Sneezy.
And Bashful.
Sassy.
Sassy.
Bashful.
Bashful.
Bashful. That's sassy.
Isn't it Bashful?
That's sassy-ish. Yeah,
It's the
bashful.
opposite of Sassy.
Sassy
right?
is not one of the
Oh,
seven
Ghibli.
dwarves.
Wasn't there a Ghibli in there?
Sassy
Sassy
is
was
one of
the
the dwarves.
Dude, Sassy was the
Master
cat
Dwarf.
from what was that the cat and dog movie? Wasn't that a Disney
Lady
movie
and the
too?
Tramp.
No, it was the one that they go on the adventure.
All dogs go to
It's
heaven.
like Shadow, Sassy, and
Homeward Bound.
Homeward
Homeward
Bound.
Bound.
Homeward Bound. Isn't
Oh,
that Disney?
Yeah, it's
It is Disney.
Yeah, Sassy.
was
That's
a-
a
yeah,
cat.
the cat was a
Sassy is a cat, yeah.
Sassy's a cat.
Reaching
Sally Field,
deep.
the great Sally Field
Oh, that's Sally Fields.
voiced Sassy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. It was. Here's another trivia. Who voiced Champs in Homeward Bound?
Oh,
Oh, here's another one.
Ooh.
Michael J. Fox.
Bonus question.
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Look at that.
It was Michael J. Fox.
Dude, I killed it. Oh, man, that's awesome.
We get that one right. We didn't get the Seven Dwarf one right. The main question.
You should have asked us that trivia.
Yeah, let's go back and erase all this. Ask us a Homeward Bound question, and we'll be good.
Oh my gosh! All right, next week we'll ask just Michael J. Fox questions.
$1, Bob.
Come on, McFly.
Okay. Here's a question. Name another character that Michael J. Fox voiced for Disney in an animated cartoon.
Milo.
Yeah, there you go.
What was it?
Wow.
What was it?
Atlantis.
Milo
The
from
greatest
Atlantis.
From Atlantis.
The Lost Empire.
Oh.
That didn't even take 1 second.
I was like,
That's a great movie.
this should
Well,
be
Jason knew the
easy
answer
one.
to our dwarf question, but he let us out. He hung us out to dry. So I feel like
I gotta have some entertainment here.
I don't feel like
We got most of the way
I
there.
am
Are
entertained.
we just here to entertain you, sir? Are you clowns?
fight
Are
for
you
me.
not entertained?
Yeah.
Are you not
Is
entertained?
that a Disney movie? Is Spartacus? No, that wasn't Spartacus. Never mind. Okay,
Spartacus?
It might be now if it was a Fox movie.
Gladiator? Was that a Disney movie?
Was that a Fox
Yes.
movie? Because it might be now.
It could be a
Disney
Disney
owns
movie
everything.
now.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this episode up. This has been a nice, long, hearty episode. So thank you
We're sorry.
to Jason, Chris, Steph for joining us. John, you have come all the way from LorcanaHQ.com. Why don't you tell people a little bit more about where they can find you and what your maybe your next project you're working on? Give us a little scoop here.
Oh, yeah. So first, I just want to say, come check out LorcanaHQ.com. From that link, you could get to our Discord, which is a booming Lorcana community. It's one of the biggest Lorcana communities out there. So if you're interested in learning more about Lorcana or maybe connecting with some other people who are just waiting for Ravensburger to give us some information, come wait with us in the Discord. We also have a Facebook group, Lorcana HQ. My next project, so the thing I'm working on right now is opening a local game store, and we have been chronicling the journey on YouTube. So we'll put a link to the playlist on there. By the time this drops, there will be 3 episodes of me trying to open a local game store and running a local game store. And if you want to check that out, I think that'd be really cool. It's called, so the channel that it's on is called Inside the Deck, and the name of the show is Building a Refuge.
Wow.
Building a Refuge.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you know the name of the store? Do you have a name for the store yet?
The name of the store is Alchemist Refuge.
Awesome.
So that's why we call it Building a Refuge. It's Alchemist Refuge. That's the link to my actual store, alchemistrefuge.shop. But yeah, the YouTube is, we'll have the link to the playlist in there. And we're doing like a kind of like a reality TV kind of thing. It's unscripted. It's real. I'm not, we're not faking things or whatever. We're opening a local game store and we're just basically documenting it.
I found Inside the
I tried
Deck.
to sell these Magic the Gathering 30 anniversary edition cards, but no one will buy from me. Now I have to eat ramen noodles for the next 6 months.
Should
I'll
have
be
bought
like,
those
get that
Charizard
camera out of
UPVs.
here.
What have I done?
Don't look at me like this.
Well, thank you, John, for joining us. You are always welcome on the show. It has been a pleasure to be working with
It was
you
awesome.
all along. And we'll definitely have you back on. We'll have a really great conversation. But thank you to everyone for joining us on this episode that may or may not turn into 2 episodes. You can find us at LorcanaCast on Twitter and Facebook. Check us out on YouTube as well at Lorcana HQ. And again, plugging John, we work with them at LorcanaHQ.com. If you're listening on YouTube, definitely like and subscribe. And we will see everybody next time. And remember, as always, Ohana means family, which means nobody gets left behind, nobody gets forgotten.